It's 4 p.m. I'll call the Committee on Public Safety to order, March 25th, 2025. Please note for the record that 2 members are here. Councilmember Hussein has an excused absence for this meeting today. Do we have a motion for the March 11th, 2025 minutes?
I would move the minutes as written.
Proper motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We will go to item number 4, public comment. Do we have any members of the public here who would wish to comment? Okay, hearing none, we will move to our discussion action items. And just to note, for the committee, we will need a motion to untable each property as we move through this list. Item B is the resolution orders to make safe or demolish 5625 K North Road. If we have the property owner for K North Road, feel free to take a seat at the table.
And I would move that on table. The make safe or demolish for 5625 K North.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Untable.
Sure,
Please.
absolutely. I was hoping to have the property owner today here, but in his absence, we do have a few updates to share. He did submit, after the last committee where it was tabled, he did submit a building permit on February 28th. It is still under review by building safety. We did get drawings that was missing from his original permit app. Those were submitted yesterday. Initial glance review coming from building safety is so far so good, but their official approval hasn't been issued yet. Because of that and him having communicated that, we're comfortable asking you to table this for another 30 days pending issuance of the building permit.
Okay, if you could, if I could ask, do you happen to know what is left with this property in terms of?
Sure.
What is there anything?
This one's got a
unique that's needed.
Sure. This one's a little unique because it was his brother who previously owned it and had started work and then had been unsuccessful in being able to finish it. So his brother sold it to Joseph, who's now the current owner. And so when you do that and you sell a property, sometimes the permits then have to be transferred to a new contractor, or in this case, a homeowner permit. And so his brother closed those permits out and Joseph has now opened those, or at least applied. He will have to get an electrical permit. I will say that has been applied for on February 12th, and that's going to be for service. It's pending issuance on our end because we need the building permit issued first for then those sub-trades to go. And so between the building permit and the electrical permit being issued, and then final, he should be on his way to having the red tag lifted.
Any questions?
You know, I would say, and I think you probably have this highlighted too, my concern is you would table this 225 and then something happens yesterday.
Right.
Rather than, I think we were pretty clear in our warning that, you know, you need to jump and get aggressive on this property. Not you, Raleigh, but
Nope, I get it.
the property owner. And it's like, you know, you waited a whole month to do something the day before the committee, which is a problem for me. I guess, Raleigh, in your opinion, if we made a 60-day on this, would this property be to completion?
I love the question. I know it's been asked before. And so assuming everything else goes according to plan, so contractor availability, weather, all the fun stuff that plays a role in construction, yes, I can say professionally in 60 days based on the scope of work he submitted under his building permit and what's under his electrical, there should be no issue in that. Again, there's that small asterisk of contractor gets sick or whatnot, he gets sick. And so I would support from the department level a 60-day table if that's what you're thinking.
Would be a 60-day, it'd be a 60-day make safer.
Sure. In that instance, again, this is your decision to make. I wouldn't support that. This is just, it's like many that you're going to hear from me today. This is a house that does not need to be torn down based on what his former brother did partially and then wasn't successful in finishing. So there's been enough effort that if we looked at this fresh today, we would not be putting it in the MSD process. So it's one of those that was in and the pressure points have worked. I agree that seemingly that as we get closer and closer to those final decisions, those owners tend to move a little bit more hastily, but I also see that as a benefit of being in that process. I would have a hard time, again, it's per council order, but I would have a hard time after 60 days feeling good about going out to bid to tear this house down.
So the next meeting to actually do this would be April 7th. So that's, 2 more weeks on top of that. So that's 75 days almost that they would have. And as we know, there's a little bit of flexibility even after that.
Right.
So we had tabled this once, and, you're the chair of the committee, but I feel comfortable moving forward with the 60-day, make safer demolish. It sounds like we're to the finish line on this, and, given the additional days before the meeting, this would be finished.
Yeah, I share your sentiment. I mean, I think that we've been fairly clear the last several meetings with property owners that we need to see meaningful action. And I really think it says something to be held accountable to a specific timeline. So is that a motion?
I would move 60 days, make safer demolish.
Great, a proper motion has been made. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to item C, resolution order to make safer demolish 204 East Potter Avenue.
I would move to on motion,
Table.
on table, that's what I said.
Proper motion has
Sorry.
been made. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Untabled. All right. And your name, please?
Rahim Ali Khan.
Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. I'm excited about this one because there's some substantial progress on Raheem's part that we're able to report out today. And so I'll give my couple brief notes and then certainly pass it over to him as well. As a refresher, we do have a building permit that's been issued. We have a electrical that's also been issued, a mechanical that's been issued and fully approved back in September, and then a plumbing permit. So all permits have been active. The owner has been showing substantial progress. Since we last spoke when this was tabled at the previous committee meeting, significant progress has been made. And so we are recommending that you either table this for another 30 days to get through all final approvals, or even consider discharging it out of the process. And so what offers me that in that suggestion is the electrical permit was finalized and approved on March 19th, and the plumbing permit was finalized today. And so the only permit left is his building permit. And I believe his building contractor is also in this room for another property, but and I've heard staff talk before, and it sounds like that's being scheduled hopefully for next week. That is the only remaining item on our end is for that building permit to pass.
And you said that is scheduled or it will be
It's-
scheduled?
I heard them talking about scheduling it since Neil was here today for next week.
Sir, your comments?
Yes, I'm so happy when I see like at least some improvement in that. Finally, we catch all like the plumber, mechanical, electrician, everything. And we start some painting in the room and put the door. So on in kitchen and the bathroom, there is already tiled. So only one living room, we have to put some laminate or something. And then the rooms, they all get carpet. So that's it. We are in the end of this part. Hopefully we can get out of the relation.
Questions or comments?
I don't think so. I think I would just keep form. I think I would feel comfortable discharging this to a 60-day MSD. It sounds like.
Well, discharge or make
I'm
a
sorry,
motion?
a motion for 60-day MSD.
Okay.
Just to get it through the process and done. It sounds like you're at the finish line, so we have no worry, like the previous one, that we're gonna run into any hiccups.
Okay, so that's a proper motion. All those in favor say aye. Great, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving along to item D, resolution for orders to make safe or demolish 1023 Porter Street.
I would make a motion to untable this.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Untabled. Raleigh, please go ahead.
Sure. I don't believe they were here today, but they've got a reason that I think both the department as well as city council office has been alerted to. Without going into too many specifics, there was a medical emergency amongst these two owners. And so I spoke with the husband last week on that. And certainly I'll jump to my recommendation is at minimum table for 60 days to allow for time. They did have a pending trade inspection that was canceled unfortunately due to the medical emergency. So I was excited to be able to report out progress and that it was scheduled and ready to be inspected, but due to that medical emergency it had to be canceled. And so at this point, the department is asking that it tabled to give them time to figure that situation out so that they can hopefully resume making repairs to the home.
Yeah, thank you for that. And without getting too detailed, I will say this is an exceptional
Yeah.
circumstance. And so do you have any questions or comments?
I don't think so. And I think that recommendation of discharge is what I feel comfortable with on this property. I would make a motion to discharge this back to them.
Okay, proper motion has been made. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Yes.
For the city attorney, because we discharged this, does council as a whole take action on this still? Or,
No, council is not required as a full council to take action. You, as a committee, have the authority to essentially discharge it at this level, and then it's no longer a pending matter. Should it come up again, it would restart the process through the hearing officer and back to you.
right, thank you.
Next, item E, a resolution orders to make safe or demolish 1723 Osband Avenue.
I will make a motion to untable this item.
Proper motion has been made to untable. All those in favor say aye. Untabled. Raleigh, please.
Sure. I know we do have the property owner and other parties associated with the property here
Feel free to
today.
take a seat at the table. Thank you.
I'll give my brief updates and certainly if you'll entertain any updates from them as well. For background, all trade permits are open. That includes building, electrical, plumbing, and mechanical. Building is the owner has reported that the building final is ready to be scheduled, but we need the trade permits closed and approved. And so with that, the electrical permit is there. It's going to be it's scheduled for the week of March 31st. The plumbing permit is scheduled for final inspection tomorrow, and the mechanical permit was final approved yesterday. Based on that, we would recommend a 30-day tabling. That should give time for the electrical to have been scheduled and passed. The plumbing will know the results of that tomorrow, and then hopefully the building will then be right after that. So I'm recommending a table of 30 days or entertain a discharge out of committee.
Want to speak about the property? This is your opportunity.
It's in great condition and it's ready to go, just
Can I
about.
get your name for the
I'm
record?
Burl, honey, Burl Green.
Okay, thank you.
Forget that not everybody knows me. I think we have some pictures here if you'd like to see them. I'm sure the neighborhood's really happy to get it going. Basically, I think it's just electrical and drywall, right, and paint. Now, the cabinets have been ordered, the countertops have been ordered. We're just finishing up the drywall, so the final electrical pieces have to be put together and then paint.
So not much more time in your perspective.
No.
We're going to have these copied for the record as well.
Yeah, you can boot us out if you want to.
Questions or comments?
I don't think so. I think I would feel comfortable doing the same with the other properties that are at the finish line. A 60-day make safe or demolish. And it would clear it off the slate. And it sounds like you guys will be all set within a short period of time. So you should be good.
Okay.
So I would make a motion.
Okay, a proper motion has been made. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes.
Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Thank you. Thank you for being with us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Yeah, let me know if you need, and then schedule a pause.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, item F, resolution orders to make safe or demolish 1033 Shepherd Street.
Oh, that wasn't tabled.
Oh.
Right, no,
Oh, yeah.
no, it wasn't.
It was a
Right.
hearing
It was
last
a
night.
hearing last night. Okay, sorry, I was waiting for that part. I do not believe the owner is present here today. I do know he attended your show cause last night. I watched that. We don't have anything new to update. There have been no new permits pulled. There was a building permit of 22 that ultimately was closed out in December of 22. We have not had any additional trade permits applied for. Not related to the MSD, but we do have an open zoning enforcement for accumulated outdoor trash and junk. That was ordered for compliance today in front of the district court, and so code will take action on that based on the district court judge's order. Unfortunately, I don't have any updates, and so with that being said, I do recommend that you move to make safer demo. This is not a fire damage, so the standard of that would be 60 days.
Any discussion or questions on this property?
I think it speaks for itself, but I would say that because of the condition of the property, and it's pretty clear there's been damage from some kind of natural disaster and a whole litany of things, that I would make a motion to make safe demolish in 21 days.
Okay, and it is just a quick question for 21 days is an acceptable time frame to move forward with this.
So long as this council makes the determination that the property has been substantially destroyed by fire neglect. There's a list of, sorry, I'm just trying to pull it up on the MSD order.
You had us at neglect.
Right.
So yes, as long as you make the finding of substantially destroyed are your magic words for that.
I believe it is substantially destroyed at this point. It looks like they had some water, severe water in the basement as well. So I think there's probably a lot of structural damage to this.
Proper motion has been made for make safe or demolish 21 days. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Passes. Great, that takes care of the properties that we have listed. Then the last item is item G, a discussion status on properties that council deemed to make safe or demolish from March 2023 until March 2025.
email earlier today.
So thank you for sending this list. It was a recent request that we had asked for. So I would like to open this discussion up. It somewhat piggybacks off of a conversation that was at a previous meeting where there is some flexibility with, obviously we don't expect for things to happen immediately after we order a property and the deadline, we reach the deadline that passes, obviously a property would not be taken down the next day.
Sure.
We had spoken about, most recently about commercial properties. And then we understand there were some single-family home properties that were still standing after they had been ordered to be demolished for some time. So that was the reason for the ask. And I know, thank you for putting notes next to each of these properties that are on the list. I do have a question about one of the, or I guess the difference between a few of the notes.
Sure.
If we look to, and we're sort of mid to bottom of the list, there is a note, 122 South Grand, demo and process abatement stage. I'm sorry, I guess that's not my question. My question is just below that. The several notes that say order compliance period in process.
Sure.
Can you just
What does that mean?
describe what happens during that period of time?
So that means they still are within the council order timeframe to make it safe or demolish on their own without intervention or jurisdiction or control from the city.
Without
So
any
we don't-
intervention from your office?
Correct.
At that
We don't
point, you're still in that 60 or
30, what, 21, it's a mix. And we just got this report today. And if they're watching, huge thank you to Clerk Swope's office for helping our team pull this together. And so next time we'll have next week on like Metro Bowl, the order date and when that expires. And so because some of them will be coming up here shortly in the next 30 days or so. But during that time frame of that compliance period, the department does not do anything in terms of preparing because we can't expend staff time on something that theoretically the property owner themselves still has the ability to abate or make safe or demolish.
Right, and I think that was explained at one of our recent meetings, like
Yep.
the property owner still has that full authority to go in and thanks to the property, you
Yes.
know, until that deadline passes. And then there were two more, I see a Jennison, 1326 North Jennison Avenue and 1342 Walnut Street. So the resolutions were passed in March and August of 24. And the note is EDP to bid out in the spring of 25. Is it a timing? Is it how does that work? In all the months in between when the order was,
Sure.
the deadline passed and now we're bidding in spring of 25.
It's an unfortunate personnel issue that was addressed internally at the department level, that those weren't moved forward as they should have been. So in a normal process, if the order expired today, let's say on 1326 North Jennison, the very next day, then the administrative team who oversees these in code can begin their due diligence. And that's one, did they make it safe for demo it? That we looked that up in BSNA. And if not, then we can order, we do an environmental survey. So we're able to order that. Once that survey gets back, that goes into justifying our demolition bid. We work with Stephanie Robinson and purchasing on that. That time frame can be anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. Depends on the environmental company, if we can get them out there, and then how quickly they get us the report back. Once we get that report back, it's within days. Stephanie's pretty quick. And so once it goes out to bid, we do a 30-day bid. And once we get those results back in partnership with purchasing, we select, usually it's always the lowest bidder, and then we sign a contract. That then gives them the approval to go and pull a building or a demolition permit with building safety and mobilize. And so those two out of this list since March of 23, to my knowledge, are the only two that the department has missed, to be frank. And so those staff who oversaw this process are no longer with the city. So we've got new staff assigned to this. I'm excited for that effort. And I think we'll see much more follow through.
And I just have one more question before I send it over, sorry. So during the 30-day bid process, let's say,
Sure.
the deadline hits, your staff picks it up, begins working on it. Now, from that point forward, the property owner, it's hands off for the property owner. Is that correct?
Yes and no.
Okay.
It's still their property. So we just have the jurisdictional ability to come in and demolish the home
I see.
or the property, because commercial, residential, et cetera, in accordance with the city's demolition standards. Certainly, if the owner tries to intercede that or interfere, maybe a better word, we would consult with the city attorney's office, the Lansing Police Department to manage what that looks like. There could be an a small pause on our effort. If the property owner, if we notice and we go out there, let's say I'm being hypothetical here, which can be scary sometimes, but if we go out there with our demo contractor and the owner's already out there doing that, it makes no sense for us. We'll likely allow them to proceed. And so it's going to be unique to each property. But after that compliance period has ended, if we're referring to as that, we have the ability now to step foot with your order onto their property. In the past, at least in the 16, 17 months I've been here and I've heard from staff, we haven't had any that have risen to that concern. Most of these at that point, the owner has abandoned anyways. And so I don't think they, aren't surprised by our effort to come in there and do it. If anything, we get feedback once that bill hits their mailbox.
Questions? Because I'm all set on my end.
So the two properties that were missed, were they bid out last summer?
One of them was, Jennison was bid out at the end of 24.
Okay.
We're gonna rebid that though, just because of the time
Yeah.
has passed.
None of the bidders, because I know we talked about this, but it brought up a thought, which is none of those bidders said, hey, what happened to this house we bid on?
Fair point. I don't know.
It just didn't.
The person they would have been communicating with is no longer here. And so if they were trying to contact their email or phone number, that info is no longer active. I would have to check with Stephanie if they reached out to purchasing, but to my knowledge, no, the bidders on the Jennison property back in December, I have not received any communication on their end.
Must have been moved more. I appreciate very much this list. It is, and I'm glad it was just 2 properties that were missed.
Oh, me too.
Trust me, me too. I understand the challenges that every department in the city faces. I get that. So I'm glad moving forward that we've got a clean list here. Thank you, Chairperson, for requesting this because this is fantastic. And I even caught the 1722 Denora on here twice.
Yep.
Which was because we had the wrong description.
Right.
I had to sit here for a second and remember.
Why you had to do that, yeah.
There were things clicking in my head that haven't turned on in years. But I appreciate this list. Now, you said something about difficult people. If they're not going to leave their house, I mean, and maybe this is a city attorney question, could we have LPD physically remove them from this house that's about to be demolished?
That is a good question and a conversation that, the city attorney will have in coordination with LPD. It's not been a situation that we have faced before, but it is certainly something we will be prepared to address if and when it happens.
That's all I have.
Okay. With no other business on our agenda, the meeting is adjourned at 4:26.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Can we talk about what, I don't mind.
Thanks.